This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradley above at the top of the screen, and everything that we're talking about here today. Let's go ahead and get into this thing because crypto is not a trend. That's right. It's not a trend. And I'm going to show you how we know that for a fact, because it's actually a transformation. You know, changes and trends only last for so long. A transformation is forevermore never going back the way it was. It will forever be different, and it will never return. And that is exactly where we're headed. The greatest financial paradigm shift in the history of mankind. Let's get into it this morning, right now. Let's do this. So here we go. All right, DLT Labs and Walmart Canada set out to eliminate supply chains problems for good. See how they utilize Hyperledger Fabric, blockchain technology, to dramatically transform the way information is managed. I will remind you that Ripple is a part of the Hyperledger Fabric. This is amazing. Let's keep going. We got a lot to cover today. Lightning Network exploits continue to hinder the Bitcoin scaling solution. Bitcoin transactions show 113,000 plus unconfirmed transactions, ladies and gentlemen. The backlog hasn't been this high since 2017. Let me be clear. I do not want to sound like a maxi when I say this, because I'm not an XRP maxi. I own, you guys know I own other coins, right? And I do not say this to sound like a maximalist, because I don't like that. I don't, no matter what. But man, oh man. Can we get that Lightning Network working? I mean, can we just get that down to, let's say, 10,000 transactions unconfirmed instead of 113,000 plus? And the reason I say that isn't, like I said, it's not from a maximalist point of view. It's because it's for the better welfare of the entire crypto space that the traditional world can't shove this up our fanny. Let's get this fixed. A lot of smart people out here, a lot of smart developers. You think somewhere along the line, 5 or 6 of them would get together and get this thing ironed out. Man, we'll keep an eye on it, but I tell you, that has got to be resolved somehow. Now, that is why I often say, as a convergence of seeing the market mature and seeing things come together and converge, I believe the best way to get past this problem is to take all your pre-mined Bitcoin and place it on the XRP ledger, and we get consistency of 3 to 4 second settlement time, and we can throw the Lightning Network right out the damn window. But I digress. Anyway, let's keep moving forward, because again, if we want to move past trends and changes into a transformation, that problem has got to get solved. MoneyGram has become more digital over the past few years. Thank you to Michael Val 5 Links. The company says it now has a digital presence in 81 of the 200 countries it serves. Overall, online direct-to-consumer technology delivered 111% year-over-year transaction growth and 114%. I think for this current year, if I remember right. So, listen, here's the big thing here. We know that Ripple's partnered with MoneyGram. I want to say this again. I said it yesterday. You see Ripple putting money into MoneyGram. That is not a pay for play. It is not a negative thing. Ripple is putting money into MoneyGram because they're building market infrastructure and market development. And this is why they've been able to have over 100% year-over-year transaction growth. And this is why I believe Ripple is partnered with them to help them expand and become more digital, because they know where the system is moving to, as well as it's been an excellent litmus test for the rest of the industries of the world, as well as regulators, to examine exactly the benefits and the pros and cons of a new digital payment rail. So this is very exciting to me. I really do believe that. Now, moving forward, I want to ask the everybody out here in the space, in the audience, to really help us with this, because I've seen this going around and I didn't cover it when it first happened. Shout out to Crypto Maniac 101 and Han Solo. I don't know if this was a glitch or not, but it's almost showing here almost $1 trillion in volume. It's 803,765,960,705 for a transaction volume. I don't know if that is a glitch from the platform, or if for a moment that's exactly what happened through XRP volume as a test. If anyone can shed any light on that, it would be appreciated. I know when it comes to undetermined things like this, I know we usually seem to get the best out of one another when we work together on this. So I'll be interested to see your comments on that. Here is another diagram from Always DYOR here. And it shows out of this diagram XRP absolutely dominating in transaction right here. So I went and I found the actual document itself, revisiting transactional statistics of high scalability blockchains involving Imperial College of London and the UCL, CBT, and the EPFL, and Brave Software also involved in that. So looking at this, I'm encouraged because I go down here to and I have a couple things. I have the diagram that I found from this report, and they basically break down XRP, they break down Tezos, and then EOS.io, right? So these are the three high scalable blockchains that they evaluated in this report. Now, when you come down here, it will show you here in a second. This is the actual diagram that you saw, value flow on the XRP ledger between October 1st, 2019 and April 30th, 2020. The bandwidth of each flow represents the magnitude of aggregate value transferred denominated in XRP. Only payment transactions are included. So that is very, very interesting chart. I've been, not shy about the fact that I believe that XRP will become a part of the digital asset framework space and the regulatory framework, as well as be a token in the space. And I also have said many, many times on this channel that I believe XRP could become the base currency for every exchange on the planet. Listen, if it has the scalability, the security, the efficiency, right? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Why wouldn't you use it? It's in your best interest to use it. And in fact, it becomes a tipping point when the customer or the competitor across the street exchange, a la whoever's using it, payment provider, remittance company, then you will be challenged if it really does do what it says it can do. And by the way, XRP is one of the tokens, if not the only token in this space, that is absolutely proved out and said it can do what it can do, and then actually does what it says it could do. So that's a remarkable thing in itself too. So again, if you're going to move beyond trends and changes, then you're going to have to move to something that is absolutely transformative. And that's where XRP comes in. The bottom line here in the conclusions is that 3 blockchains studied in this paper demonstrate the capacity to support high levels of throughput. However, the massive potential of those blockchains has thus far not been fully realized for their intended purposes, as we know. But very good to see XRP Ledger and the XRP token wrapped up in that analysis. Now, this is Cathie Wood, and they wrote Woods in the title on this particular video, but I wanted to show you this because this is an overview of what I'm talking about. And you're about to see the information that not only the industries around the world and the institutions on Wall Street are looking at, but you're about to see what regulators understand, what governments understand. Anyone who is anyone that can affect this space absolutely gets what I'm about to show you. Now, this is Cathie Wood from ARK Investment. She has a ETF that's based around genome work and AI, robotics, and then blockchain technology and crypto and things of that nature. So Let's go ahead and just listen to this quick shot that she gives. It's about 2 minutes or so. Listen to what she gives. I may pause here just to point out a few things because it's very, very revealing. And I'm telling you, all the institutions, all the banks, all the governments, all the regulators understand what she's breaking down here. Look at this.
You can see that modern financial industry evolved over roughly 1,000 years. So in the 1100s, we had the first foreign exchange contract. In the 1600s, the first stock exchange. Not until Amazon did its one-click payment system did the modern age, we think, start to take off. So that was in 1999. And then you had PayPal's email payment system, and then you had Alipay's app payment system, and you see the explosion in China's mobile payment volume.
Now pay very close attention to this chart. First of all, that chart that we just came from was pretty incredible to understand. We didn't get one-click payment systems until 1999, just 21 years ago. Come on in. Now watch what's happened here in this China's mobile payment volume versus China's GDP at the bottom in blue. So what you're seeing is the GDP, right? Gross domestic product here at the bottom versus China's mobile payment volume. I encourage you to understand that as much as we've heard in this space about cryptocurrency, that China's ahead, China's pushing forward, China's really coming out, we got to be in the front, we need to leapfrog to the front of the fourth industrial revolution. Listen, this information that we're getting ready to see right here is exactly what governments and regulators alike know around the world, and they're not going to let this continue at this pace and scale. Watch this.
So in 2017, when I first saw the number 9 trillion, it was 8.6 trillion, that China was reporting for its mobile payment volume, I just didn't believe it. I didn't believe it because its economy was $11 trillion, and the consumer was 35–40% of that. And so I was thinking very narrowly and incorrectly, and shame on me because I have an economics background. What we're seeing here, look at this, $1 trillion in 2014 in China's mobile payments to $26 trillion. That's only 4 years. That was 2018. Talk about exponential growth. It's 2 times their economy, and China accounts for more than 90% of all mobile payments globally.
90% of all global payments globally. Are you kidding me? Mobile payments globally. That is remarkable. And the fact that in 4 years, mobile payment volume has grown to more than twice the GDP of its country. Do not miss this right here, because this isn't a trend. This is a transformation. And this is what everyone around the world that is in the right places, that are carrying the baton and the narrative for blockchain and crypto to be put in place, from the US to everywhere else, they understand this better than any of us. And I'm telling you, they are not going to miss the boat on this. Keep listening.
They have run with this. And if you go into China, into tier 3, tier 4 cities, you will see merchants in huts using only WeChat Pay. They don't want cash. They're afraid of counterfeit cash. And these are 70 and 80-year-olds. You do not see that certainly not in the United States and the developed world.
But eventually you're going to, because that learning curve will have to be made. It will be an inflection point that you cannot look away from.
They didn't have the financial rails to begin with. They didn't have a deeply entrenched banking system. Most people in China were unbanked. Now they have a bank in their pocket. So, and you can see 2 times GDP. How can that be? Well, it's because of the velocity of money.
Ah, the velocity of money. Well, that's one of the characteristics that XRP and the ledger can provide to this stalled economy around the world is the velocity of money. Listen to this.
In the United States, the velocity of money is 5. So 5 times our GDP would be $100 trillion. Five times China's today would be 65 trillion, but they are soon going to pass the United States. So we are...
Unless the United States jumps and leapfrogs to the front of this game and becomes a real leader in this space. And the way they can do that is right here. So Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, in coordination with European Central Bank and International Monetary Fund, is preparing to roll out central bank digital currencies. The globalist IMF recently called for a new Bretton Woods moment. Well, in the original Bretton Woods moment, we got the U.S. dollar as the global reserve status. What else we got was the birth of the IMF. So in a new Bretton Woods moment, I ask you, will we be getting a new global reserve currency that could be a bridge asset or a bridge currency that could sit in the middle of all the currencies of the world, which I believe could be the role of XRP as a global stable coin? And will we also see Ripple become and be birthed as a new central bank of sorts? Or will we see a new central bank birthed, whether it be Ripple or not, or some kind of international consortium panel put together to oversee what happens with this new currency that is a decentralized asset? And the only way to really control it and have monetary policy on it is to, again, hold back at least a portion of that asset in escrow. Obviously, it has been made clear over the years that they have used an accelerator program to pre-allocate XRP throughout the years to get it in the right hands of all the different industries, major industries of the world, from banking to payment providers, small, medium enterprises, and the like, to begin to use the asset so it can be revered as money. Remember, money isn't money unless everybody agrees that it's money. And here's the other piece to this puzzle. The Federal Reserve doesn't have to create anything. You know, there's other countries and governments and central banks creating their own CBDC. Brian Brooks says that's not the way we should do it. We already have digital dollars. And you could look to Paxos and CBDC and USDC coin on Coinbase for those. Trusted private companies that could be put into a regulatory framework to ensure that they don't go beyond the reserves of the Federal Reserve or any policy created by the government and or Federal Reserve, to stay within the confines of where they need to be when it comes to operating in a regulatory approach with, you know, a heightened prudential and all of this. But the reality here is that basically, Brian Brooks has said the analogy is when cell phones came about, we didn't ask the FCC to create us a cell phone and decide what features we would have or not have. In fact, it was quite the opposite. The FCC realized that there was a new technology out here and basically just crafted the framework to be able to encompass all of this new technology and make sure that it had a place to be able to report and a policy to adhere to. Now, what's important to understand about this is, look at cell phones now. We have many different companies that make cell phones. My gosh, I remember when cell phones first came out. It looked like some kind of a toy. It looked so fake. It was unbelievable. The phones were enormous. Then there was the bag phone. Remember that? I mean, everybody had a job site or something, needed a bag phone to call in orders. And then you had the big handheld. It was like holding a brick with numbers taped to it. But that wasn't the FCC creating cell phones. That was the FCC enforcing policy about creating the technology. And then they let the private sector do what it does. And then we got the BlackBerry. Remember that? Well, first we got the flip phone. Then we got the BlackBerry, right? And then from the BlackBerry, we started to get smartphones. Now we got smartphones. You don't even want anything else. The Federal Reserve doesn't have to launch a dollar. The Federal Reserve and the government just needs to launch policy and a regulatory framework so the private issuers and the private companies can continue to operate and scale the digital dollar that's already here. And if we get that framework, and remember, they just put a proposal from the FinCEN and the Fed to expand the definition of money in their agencies to explicitly include virtual currencies. If they get that definition, I think you're going to see things happen so quickly and so fast because it will eliminate some of the regulatory agencies from having to weigh in on the factor at all about what virtual currencies are. They are money. And if you get that definition, I think quite clearly you could see Brian Brooks and a few other regulatory agencies issue the framework that allows digital currencies to grow just like cell phones and the cell phone industry has. That, to me, is not a trend. That's not a change. That's a transformation. All right, let's keep it going here because here we see another transformation, another growth point coming in. Incoming, the next growth spurt for crypto. CoinDesk says it. I've been saying it on this channel. U.S. banks may seek to partner with or buy crypto custodians. OCC Brian Brooks says, yeah. Well, don't believe me when I say it, but you might want to start believing Brian Brooks when you hear him say it, because I tell you what, that makes so much sense because we've watched, they've watched from the sideline this industry become several $100 billion in a crypto market here. But the reality here is that the internet back in 1999, I believe it was, only had $6 to $7 trillion invested in it. We don't even have $1 trillion as a market yet. What does this space look like when we get $6 to $7 trillion in this space invested and moving and making things happen and developing products and services and launching companies that work better and operate with, more efficiency and scalability because of employing these techs of blockchain and crypto? It's massive. Massive. This is how young it is. And it can change in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye. Here's another thought here from Raoul Pal, who is a retired hedge fund guy and started Real Vision Television. And I want you to hear this 1-minute clip of him right here. What he says he sees coming.
The other thing is the crypto space and the blockchain space. Now, this is slightly contentious, but it's something I've been mulling in my head. If you think about that problematic allocation to all of the other assets, and you have something like a cryptocurrency or a set of cryptocurrencies or even ICOs, and I know most of them are complete scams, but there are some that are good and the world will change and they will get regulated and there will be some amazing opportunities.
He's right.
Now, if you said the future expected return from a cryptocurrency over the next 30 years is 0 or 1 million, and we're at, let's use Bitcoin as the example, we're at about 8,000, 7,500. Well then, as a millennial, you're basically faced with the same fact set that you had in equities back in 1982, or in bonds back in 82. Was inflation going to be there forever? Or was the 18% returns you were given in bonds exceptional? Was the P of 6, meaning the cult of equity was dead? Or was there a long-term opportunity in America and the global economy to revive itself? I think crypto is here to stay. The blockchain development will come. I think the ICO market will develop to be rich and deep and as large and as important as the equity market is now. It'll be like the credit market. It'll be an ancillary, a big part of the financial market. So if you're looking for the future, and if you're looking for where the money will be in the future, where life savings will go, it's going to be there over time.
Well said, Raoul Pal. And I don't mind telling you that, obviously none of this is financial advice, but he sees the trend coming. Now, what will it take for the masses to move into this space? Because, listen, if you're listening to this, you are a speculator in this market, and we are speculating. And we're here early, and I'm proud to be here early, but the reality is we are here early. So what will it take? Well, here's what one person thinks that it may be able to take right here. Listen to this quick clip of 30 seconds from Gerald, I guess it's Salente. Listen to what he says it may take to get the crypto jumped off and digital currency popping off here.
What do you think the time frame is for implementation of a digital currency in the U.S.? It's hard to say. They could do it tomorrow. But here's when I think they'll do it. And this is what I would look at. And that is when the markets crash. When things crash big time, that's when I think they're going to do it. That's what's going to be the game changer. They'll force it in and push it out.
And there you have it. And that's a pretty remarkable statement by Gerald there. There's we've been following an economic disaster for well over 2 years with Cryptopolis and myself on this show. And Cryptopolis has said that he feels like there may possibly be, in what he's seeing, more downside to this crypto space in the short order. So be prepared for that. And you know what? And currently right now as we're talking, even though Bitcoin is holding at 13.8, it went to 13.8, came back to 13, almost flat, and now it's back at 13.8. But now we're seeing also XRP falling from 24.25 cents now down to 23 cents, and it may be trending down lower from here. But you know what? In short order, the market can do whatever it wants because, as Raoul Pal said, you're looking over the next 5-10 years here. And what do you see? Do you see this really going to zero in your mind? Or do you see exponentially a real gain here? You have to make the decision for yourself what you see. I'll tell you one of the things that I'm looking at that impresses the hell out of me. Ripple's on the verge of something big as a number of whales reach astronomical levels. Really? So while all of this news is going on, and the potential crash of the markets, right? The not knowing for the main masses and the consumers out here in the world that don't know anything about crypto have no idea what's going on. Meanwhile, the largest whales in XRP are increasing their numbers. The numbers has increased in the last 6 months, with the number of whales holding 100,000 to 10 million XRP seeing an astronomical rise. I have said this from the beginning, and I said it before I even had a channel, and I say it again. This is not financial advice, but I am stacking my pennies next to their dollars. And until they stop stacking their dollars, I'm not going to stop stacking my pennies. That's going to do it for me. This ain't a trend. This ain't a change. This is a transformation. And I'm glad to be here to witness it, and I'm glad you're here with me. Hit the like and subscribe, share with somebody you know. Make sure you leave a comment below, and check out all the links in the description and the comment box. I know that, with a lot of scams going on out here, be very careful what you click on, and just know that all the links that I have for you guys and myself, because I use every link and subscription or product and service, that I've checked them out, I've vetted them, and those are very safe links for anything you may want or need. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'll catch all of you on the next one.